This is the OMFL.
You can't touch this.
And you're in the mix with Kinda Real Name. Here's another OMFL production.
Alright, good morning boys and girls. Welcome to Press Pass Live, your weekly podcast show for the OMFL. I am so glad that you guys are with us. Let me tone this way down because it is hot. Why is my mic so hot? My bad. I'm gonna get it not hot here in just a second. There we go. Too not hot. Why is my mic so hot? I don't know what happened. That thing was blowing people out of the water though. My bad. Turn that down just a little bit there. My bad if I blew you out of the water. That was not my intention. So, all right. Looking at my two guests, I am your host, the Commissioner Nate, and got my two buddies with me here this morning. Mr. Dwayne is making another appearance, minus one arm after a rough mad game, and Mr. Bloop, all the way down from Canada, is joining us live. Man, how you doing this morning? Well, it's I think a lot of people's virtual experiences have been ruined because of this crappy game that we play, but it kind of is what it is. I'm glad that you're both here with me this morning. Let's just jump right into it and get going with some fire drill. Give me your favorite game from the last couple of weeks. What was the one that you enjoyed seeing, or a really close game that you want to talk about today? Yeah, week 9. Yeah, I got you.
They didn't really run the ball a whole lot, but you don't really expect that. They had 380. The Chiefs had 383 passing yards total, and the Titans had 372. So they were obviously just going back and forth down the field, and just in the end, it was a couple turnovers that made the difference, I think, because gave the Titans some short fields, and I think there's a pick six involved as well. But I watched the game for I think 3 out of 4 quarters, and until I had to play my game, and it was just fun to watch. Like, I mean, in some ways it was kind of disgusting to not see any defense out there, but
that's
also,
exactly what I was gonna say.
Yeah, but also, like, at the same time, it's also like there's a lot of different ways the ball was getting out. Like, I think there was like a play action pass to a fullback or a second string tight end or something that the Titans hit at one point that was pretty cool. And if you just look at player stats, Tyreek Hill had over 200 yards, which is actually like
stupid.
Pretty much par for the course this year.
Yeah, it's so stupid.
Yeah, it is. So the tight end Peter Wilkerson had that catch I was talking about for the Titans. I don't know. It's two teams I had to scout anyways. So at least when I have to scout them out to realize that I'm doomed, it was a fun game to watch at least. So I enjoyed watching it, and the Titans wound up kind of pulling away in the end. I think one Council threw some picks, but I think for 3.5 quarters, halfway through the third quarter, it was still a close game.
There was one punt in this game. One punt. The top rusher had 53 yards rushing. I just... God, how does this happen to our league? We have rules. We have things that are supposed to keep us looking, and the game is so broken. I don't know how any of these teams are putting up those kinds of points. I put up 13 points against Priest. That's a different story of it's time for me to retire. But I just don't. And the Falcons put up 41 against Houston. It's just. It's devastating to watch. All right, Mr. D. Wayne, what was your fire drill game of the week?
Well, I'm kind of shocked. I didn't really see the running stats. You said they didn't have 65 yards the leading rusher, especially with
53,
Tennessee.
I think.
Let's see, with Breida there, usually you have a lot of yards with, especially Tennessee. I think he's second in the league in rushing. But my team's a little bit different.
Clement over there had 14 for 55.
That game.
I think
Breida didn't play.
Yeah,
he had no carries that game.
Breida has the Cohen and Hines syndrome. He likes to get hurt quite a bit. My game is a little more traditional OMFL style. Rams, it's week 8. Rams win 23-22 against the Cowboys. Honestly, nothing on this game stuck out like stat-wise. It's just I watched this game pretty much, I want to say, halftime on. Nothing really stuck out, and I say nothing stuck out. It's just the ending that was really intriguing to me. If you look at this game, the Rams had 146 yards passing, 177 yards rushing, 43% on third down. They only have one turnover. Go over the Cowboys, 183 yards rushing, 183 yards passing, 33 rushing. Percent third down, one turnover. You just look at the stat, tell it's a close game. The Rams stuck to what they've been doing. Gurley and Henderson combined for 167 yards and 30 carries, 2 touchdowns. You spread the ball around, 4 different players with 2 passes. You go over to the Cowboys. Dak had an efficient game. Ball over 217 yards on 66% passing and a touchdown. Pollard stepped up even after he's traded Zeke away to the Vikings. 15 carries, 126 yards, and Gallup showing up that he doesn't need Cooper anymore. Since he let him go in free agency, 7 catches, 111 yards. Neither defense, I'm going to say the name wrong here for the Rams, Samson and Bukum. Maybe one of y'all can fix that.
Nope.
He had 3 sacks, but he's really the only noteworthy one on either side that did a whole lot. But what got me in this game, the Cowboys had scored 20 seconds left. I'm watching the game. I see kind of a glitch. I refresh the thing. The Cowboys are going for 2, down by 1. I was like, okay, this is Maniac. Kind of went off the hinges a little bit. He misses it. They call pass interference. He gets 1 yard closer. I'm like, well, Cowboys are going to kick the field goal here. He's done screwed up. Almost lost it. He goes for 2 again. Doesn't get it. Gets sacked. He drops back from single back. Rams run a goal line formation, which I would do at the 1 yard line too. Not sure why the Cowboys ran out of single back. He gets sacked before he even gets through a 3-step drop. Game over. Especially this early in the season, Cowboys are kind of riding that 500 record. Maybe he felt like he had to go for 2 here to win this game. Maybe he didn't think he could stop the Rams. But I think that's a huge loss for the Cowboys early this season. He drops to 3-5, which in this division, in his division this year, you got the Giants at 6-2, Redskins at 5-3. That's a huge loss. He goes, worst case, you're 3-4-1. I know that doesn't seem like a lot, but the tie actually got me a second seed, I want to say, last playoffs instead of a loss. And I'm not a tie fan at all, but I'll take a tie over a loss. So this is a huge loss for the Cowboys to me. And it's just a crazy game at the end because, literally he had 2 chances from the 2 yard line to score and to win this game, and he couldn't do it.
That's crazy. I wasn't around for that game. Did Maniac say why he was going for 2 each time?
Honestly, I don't know if he ever said. He messaged me after the game and was talking about something, but really wasn't a bad rant or anything. He was just talking about what happened during the game and stuff like that. And like I said, maybe I should have asked him, but I guess he just felt that he couldn't stop the Rams and felt like he could, go for 2. And
That's a
and
tough
get
way
this
to
win.
lose it.
It is.
I'm going to go with the Minnesota and Denver game the same week. The Broncos, Denver have like turned the corner this year,
Yes.
and we're going to talk about them in just a minute. But we know how good the Vikings have been since Ross has moved over there. He's really solidified that team with some trades and playing really good football. Man, for the Broncos to come away with a win here, 27 points were scored in the fourth quarter. The passing yards really belonged all the way to the Minnesota Vikings here, 218 to 167. Rushing yards. I'm sorry. The passing yards, 217 to 227. So really the Vikings offense dominated this game. You can even see in the time and possession, 22 minutes to only 17 minutes. But the Broncos were able to use a couple of big plays to stay in this one. Hunter Woodward, the third-year quarterback that was drafted a couple years ago, not a guy that we've actually talked a lot about, but having a pretty good season here. 239 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Madden, the rookie, Tim Madden, 227, pretty good. The 1 touchdown, but the 2 interceptions really hurt him. No sacks, though, for the Denver Broncos, which is just speaks to the volumes of what the Vikings have built within offensive line. Elliott, 23 rushes, 171 rushing yards. Lindsey, 16 for 167. And then Blizzard, the backup for the Vikings, 10 for 36. 5 touchdowns combined between the 2 starting running backs in both of these teams. Looking at some receiving yards, Diggs is still getting it done. I don't know how guys are just dominating with so many really good receivers. I mean, every game that we've looked at today, there's been a receiver over, 150 yards, 200 yards. And so Diggs, 5 for 123 with 1 touchdown on this day. And then looking at the defense real quick, 11 tackles for Joey Birch. This guy has been, was Joey Birch his import? I think he was. I could be wrong about that, but Joey's been a really good player in this league for a long time. Danielle Hunter from LSU still getting it done for Minnesota. There were 2 sacks on the day, and then 2 interceptions, 1 from Chubb and 1 from Isaac. I'm not even going to try that last name, so good luck with that. And this game did have something that the other 2 games didn't have. I didn't even get to mention it, but in your game, the Dallas and Rams game, again, 1 punt. At least this game had 3 punts on the day, so at least we're seeing some punts coming from this game. But 27 points scored in the fourth quarter, and I can't talk today. I needed to wake up a little earlier, get some coffee in my system, but a lot of points scored in this one, and offensive explosions are happening in this league. I mean, hell, you can even look just on the screen right here. In Week 8, your Patriots, Bloop, put up 30. Your Colts, Dwayne with one hand, put up 51. Cincinnati put up 29. Tennessee put up 41. Washington put up 41. Just craziness happening on the offensive side of the ball in this league, unless you're in New Orleans, and then you've completely forgot how to play this game all the way. All right, let's turn the corner here and talk about turning things around. This is our segment where we want to talk about a couple teams that have just kind of come out of nowhere this season. And my question really to you guys is, which of these teams make the playoffs? So I got on that list, we got the Cardinals. Now, I'm not 100% sure. Some of these teams may have snuck in the playoffs last year, but they weren't dominating teams like they are this year. I'm not sure if the Cardinals made the playoffs last year, but they are really high up there at 7-2 this year. You got the Chiefs at 7-2, the Giants at 6-2, the Broncos at 6-2. And then you could even, like, if you wanted to, throw in the Redskins at 5-3, the Panthers at 5-3, and the Vikings at 5-3. So a couple of teams that have really turned the corner this year. Which of those teams stick out to you, and which of those teams do you think make the playoffs in season? Well, I don't even know what season it is. Season 90? Are we in season 90? What season are we on? What the hell's wrong with me this morning?
Yeah, season 90.
Golly, I'm losing it today. God, I need some fresh air, people. I need to get out of this freaking house. It's driving me insane. All right, Bloop, I'm throwing it to you first. Which of these teams make the playoffs in season 90?
Well, I do think... I think actually quite a few of these teams are going to wind up making it. I definitely have the Chiefs and the Broncos both making it in the AFC. They're both kind of pulling away from the other wild card contenders in recent games as they keep winning and only have 2 losses on the year. Then everyone else is in the NFC, and I don't know what was close for the NFC, so I just got to take a quick look. I'm pretty sure the Giants are going to make it because, I think them and the Redskins can fight it out, but I think one of them's going to get a wild card spot anyways because they're both really good teams. It's going to be hard for the Panthers to make it, in my opinion. I think the Vikings will make it, and I think the Cardinals will make it as well, and then the Seahawks, obviously. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of new playoff teams, I think, this year. I think a lot of these guys aren't going to be slowing down anytime soon. They got off to quick starts, especially like the Giants, the Vikings, and the surprising Broncos. I think the big thing for me about all these teams I think are going to make it is just the challenge of their spots isn't is like surprisingly like some of the teams that we thought were going to rise up haven't done so far, and they're still hovering around 500, and we're halfway through the season, and they're running out of time quickly here. So some teams have already played 9 games, have 4 losses. It's just going to take a lot for some of these guys to get past, and I just think that they're playing, especially like if you look at all these teams, they're playing so well on offense. Basically, it's just hard for when you're that good on offense, it's hard for another team to consistently, or like it's hard for your team to fall off that much. Like I don't know, I just have good faith. I think offense is easier to replicate than defense right now in the league. So when I look at all these teams being offensive, I just find that their strengths are exactly where you need to be strong.
Yeah, I think that my 2 AFC teams on here, look, the AFC is pretty, steady. I mean, I guess you could talk about your Patriots, Bloop, but you've been a good player. You just had to go through a rebuild there with no quarterback, but clearly you've got that figured out. Now, I know we've got an injury that we can cry about a little bit later, but the AFC is pretty steady. The Jags, the Miners, the Colts, the Titans. I'm trying to think who else the Steelers, of course. Even the Bengals have kind of turned the corner this year and started to make another run. You'll always hear from the Jets and the Ravens, the Browns, those types of teams. But I do think the Broncos and Chiefs are in there this year. The Chiefs have just had so much offensive firepower cancel, and the Broncos have just figured some things out. We'll talk about Phillip Lindsay in just a minute, but they've just figured some of these things out, and it's good to see them winning again with some firepower. And if I look at the NFC, the Cardinals are in. Now, I think they're going to battle it out with the Seahawks about who's actually going to win that division. But I think that the Cardinals are going to win it. That team is solid from start to finish. Rob has built such a good team over there. They're fun. They're a lot of offensive firepower, but also some really good defensive players. Pepper seems to have turned the corner. And I know he's dropped a couple of weird games here lately, but I mean that team is still scoring 230 points, only allowed 174 points. I mean they're playing really solid football on both sides of their team, and they're just being really effective and efficient. So I do think that they're going to be in. The team that I don't think will be in is the Panthers. I think there's just too many good teams there. I think the Redskins are going to sneak in over them. Smash is here in the chat already talking about how the Vikings schedule is going to get harder. They got to figure out that defense. 195 points allowed is not a good thing, but that offense is super powerful, and Elliott can control the game for them. If Tim Madden can just not turn the ball over, that team's going to be really good. So I think the Vikings are in. I think the Panthers are out. I think the Redskins are in, and Cardinals are in. And I think a lot of these teams have turned the corner and will be new powerhouses. Dwayne, how do you see all of these teams playing out?
It's going to be interesting. I think Bloop touched on a lot of it. We'll talk about the Vikings since Smash brought them up in the chat. I was just looking at the record this morning. The combined record of the teams they play left is only 43%. Then now they do play the Panthers, they play the Giants, they play the Falcons. Are 3 big games they have left. But other than that, I don't think they have a game over with the opponent over 500. Which that doesn't mean anything here per se. But, the cream does rise to the top, and some of these teams are really separating themselves. And the Vikings spent a lot of assets this season, reload, picking up Ezekiel Elliott. He already has Diggs. He invested in Madden at quarterback. Marcus Lawrence from the Cowboys as well. So he's investing in trying to make his team and separate from that NFC North, which we know has been battling back and forth and really has tried to find an established team in that division. I have him going the rest of the way. I think I have him going 3-3 on his last one game and being 10-6 in the season. And I see him winning that division. You go up to the Broncos. I'll start with the AFC. I had to touch the Vikings since Smash brought them up. I look at the Broncos. I think I got them at 5-3 record. They play 4 winning teams the rest of their schedule. They got 2 division games. I don't think they win this division. I think the Chiefs get it. I think Chiefs have just a slightly easier schedule on the way out. Play less teams with a winning record. I think the Chiefs get this division at 12-4, and the Broncos are 11-5. The Miners have kind of befuddled me a little bit. I'm sure I can't speak for myself. I kind of had the Miners written in as I just think Colin, this was his division. I'm not really sure. I think he's lost 2 in a row. I'm not really sure what's going on in I don't even know, Sacramento. I guess that's where the Miners right now. I'm not really sure what's going on there, but I kind of had him written in for this division. It's kind of shocking that he could be left out of the playoffs in general, because if you look at the AFC, you got probably 1 team coming out of the East, 2 teams coming out of the West. Right now, it's looking like only 1 team out of the North. That's kind of surprising to us. And most likely, you're going to have 2 teams out of the South. So that's going to leave the wild card berths are going to be real sparse. So the North and East are just going to have 1 team coming out of them, and that could leave the Miners on the outs if the Chiefs and Broncos keep up their winning. And you go down the NFC. I got the Giants finishing out the rest of their season at 6-2 as well. They play 4 teams with the winning record. They got 3 division games left. He's got to hold off the Redskins because the Redskins and this is no disrespect to Pepper, just demolished him like 44-7, I think, last week. It was kind of crazy, a one-loss team getting beat like that. I'm sure it was just an off game by Pepper and Denbrough, somebody you can't have an off game against. But I do see him pull out this division. Like I said, at 12-4, he has a relatively easy schedule the rest of the way out. Like I said, I've already spoken about the Vikings. I go down the south to the Panthers. I have him on the bridge of getting a wild card spot. I have him going the rest of the way at 5-3 his last 8 games. I have him finishing the season at 10-6. The only thing with 10-6 is you have a team. The West is probably going to get a wild card team. The East with Denbrough, unless the Cowboys just mount a crazy comeback, and he's pretty much got to win out to get in the playoffs, and that's crazy. Halfway through the season, he's got to win out to make the playoffs, but he pretty much does. But it's going to come down to Redskins and Panthers, in my opinion, on who gets that last wild card spot. Like I said, unless some team just really kicks into gear and changes the direction of their season, it's going to come down to those 2 teams. And I just think the Panthers, man, they play half their remaining games are against winning teams. They have 4 division games left, which that's just key. I think I have his schedule pulled up right here. He has the Falcons left, the Colts left, the Lions left, the Saints left, the Texans left, the Buccaneers left, the Vikings. He plays the Falcons twice. If that says anything right there, he does play the Falcons twice to end the season. It's going to be tough. I really could lock in all these teams but the Panthers, just because I don't think the Panthers. I actually have them winning one of those 2 games against the Falcons. I might be called crazy for that one, but I do have him winning one of those 2 games. And I think if he does win one of them, he makes the playoffs. He's got to beat the Falcons. And I actually have him beating me in that thing too, of those wins. So he's got to beat the Falcons at least once, in my opinion, to make the playoffs. And that last wild card split come down to him and the Redskins.
Yeah, it'll be fun. I mean, we're at the halfway point, and so this is where teams start to separate themselves, right? This is where some of those teams that we think have an opportunity to make a run begin to fade away, and then other teams that are going to be the powerhouses that you have to pay attention to, they start to really step up. Speaking of stepping up, we want to go look at the Denver Broncos real quick. Now, they're one of those teams that have really turned the corner this season and gotten back to their winning ways, and it really has been all about Phillip Lindsey. 109 carries, 982 yards, 9 rushing yards per carry, 10 touchdowns. He's averaging 122 yards per game. He does have 1 fumble, but That's just about it. This guy has been on a tear, even on a team that has Derrick Henry, which I didn't understand, and a guy that he picked up a while back, Royce Freeman. So some really good players on this team, but Lindsey has been the guy for them. The question to you guys is, does Lindsey win the OMFL rushing title this year? Dwayne, I'm going to throw it over to you. You're our insider rushing expert. Does Lindsey win it all this year?
It's really hard to bet against that. I see you're scrolling through. I was fixing to pull up that myself. If it's a big if Breida is hurt, I would give him this probably hands down. With Hines hurt and Cohen hurt, I think you'd have to give it to him. Especially, I looked at his thing. He's had 4 huge rushes this year. Lindsey has a 100-yard rush. That would be devastating. I'm not going to lie to you, giving him a 100-yard rush. But he does have like 4 rushes over 55 yards. He's a home run hitter. I think he does fall under that, probably that saying that Hines Cohen, that small back, probably quick. But let's not forget that, he did win MVP with what's the Anderson that played for the Rams last year in the playoffs?
CJ?
Is it Mike Anderson?
No,
CJ Anderson. CJ Anderson. He won the MVP award. Was it 2 Maddens ago with him? So he's not shy with running the ball. I think we do look at the Broncos as a passing team, but he has had success running the ball before, and I think he's been looking for this running back to invest in. And I'm with you. I didn't know he got Henry. He must have got him in free agency. I don't believe he traded for him, but. With Henry backing him up, he does have that lightning thunder mix. I think he gets it if he keeps winning, and that's a big telltale. If you look at most teams with a lot of rushing, they're winning games. They're getting to run the ball most of the game. If he keeps winning games, he's going to keep running with Lindsey. And honestly, it's the best he's ever been here before is when he ran the ball well and he could pass. Because we know what he can do as a passer. All he's ever been missing is that running game, and he hasn't had a good running back since C.J. Anderson. And I think he's got his back here. And like I said, I'll give him the rushing title if Breida's hurt, and that's a big if.
Yeah, I just was scrolling through some running back stats just to kind of have something going on while you were talking. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but Ty Gurley has 36 broken tackles, which is like 20 more than anyone else. It's just like a cheat code. I think that Lindsey does win it for those reasons, that Breida is going to be hurt for a little bit. Your guy Hines, is Hines gone for the season? What's up with Hines?
See him in 2 weeks.
Okay. Might be a little too much to kind of come back from, but then again, who knows? Like those 2 players, if they come back in enough time, Breida's not that far behind. Breida's just a few yards behind. But if the Broncos can stick to their game plan, this is where we get to that place where either teams begin to stick to the game plan and make a run, and other teams get nervous and start to get away from their game plan. They start to do things that get them out of their element, and they get themselves in trouble. So that is like the tipping point for the Broncos, and why I think there's a really good chance he's not going to win this, because I think that he's going to get nervous. He's going to start passing the ball way more, turning the ball over, and that's going to end up hurting him. Bloop, do you think Lindsey can win the OMFL rushing title, or does he win it?
I'm going to say he is going to win it. Similar to what Dwayne's saying, like Breida's hurt. I think Melvin Gordon splits carries. He's right behind him in the standings. I don't think Gurley's obviously a beast, like you just talked about, his broken tackles, but I don't think he's going to get the workload. And also, I don't think the Rams' offense is quite as explosive as these other teams for him to get there. I'm just looking at the guys that are possibly contending. Dre Foster, he's a really good back, but I just don't think he's going to have enough of those 150-plus yard games towards the end of the season to catch up. So I don't know. I think Lindsey does have a really good chance to win it here. Like you say, Nate, he has to definitely stick to a running-based game plan. But so far this season, I think that's actually kind of what he's been doing. And that's like how he's winning. Like if you look at his statistics, he's like the least scoring team in the AFC West. He kind of knows that he's not going to go outscore the Chiefs and the Miners in an offensive showdown. So he's kind of like grounding and pounding it. So I think that's working out. Hopefully he sticks to that. But I just look at the guys that are in contention and don't think that they're going to have the workload or the health like Breda to come up and pass him unless he just goes really, really bad for a couple weeks.
Yep. Oops. This is what happens when you don't have a studio and you start knocking things off of the table. This one kind of got messed up on us just a little bit because we had a game that we were going to talk about, and that game got actually played as soon as we advanced, so we didn't get to really talk about. We were going to talk about the Chiefs and the Miners, and I think lucky for Colin, we're not going to have to talk about that game because it looks like that one got away from the Miners pretty bad. It's a 42-21 victory for the Chiefs. But what is the next big game that you guys are excited? It doesn't necessarily have to be in Week 10, but what's the next big game that you can't wait to see happen?
I'll take this one right offhand. It is in Week 10, and I'm interested to see if without RIP, I'm sorry, without McCallister of the Patriots, does he keep his undefeated streak up against the Bengals this week? We know the Bengals are going to come in, they're going to score a lot of points, but the same thing, he does give up a lot of points as well. Bloop has one of the best defenses in the OMFL. I think there's only like 5 teams that give up less than 21 points a game, and he's one of them. He gives up, less than 80 yards a game rushing. But if you go over the Bengals, they averaged almost 230 yards passing, 110 yards rushing. A lot of those rushing yards came against my Colts, just so y'all know. If you look at the Bengals' third down percentage, he only converts third downs at 48% compared to 60% for the Patriots. Daddy Leagues has a predicted score at 29-25. It'd be real interesting to see this one. Since he's really kind of confused me a little bit, he did have a rough stretch of games. Where he just played the top, and it's confused here, and he only came out 4-4. He did have Hopkins. He's probably the biggest, off-season acquisition of anybody. He got Hopkins, took him away from the dark side, and brought him to put him in those Bengal colors. It ought to be interesting to see here. It'll be interesting to see how the Patriots, react with McCallister being out. He was on a record pace season. It'd be interesting to see who he puts in at quarterback, and I'm sure Bloop can touch on that a little bit, and who he puts in at quarterback, if the offense changes any, because I'm sure the defense doesn't change. The Bengals are going to attack this really good defense. It ought to be interesting to see if that undefeated record stands after this game.
Bloop, do you have a rebuttal?
Yeah, you can say this, as long as if I happen to win this, you could say this about my next, I think, 5 games I play against the Bengals, who are obviously really good. Then I think the Giants, the Broncos, the Chiefs, and the Titans are my next 5 games. So I have a really interesting stretch here without my quarterback. But just for the Bengals game, actually me and Cincy were talking last night about it. Both of us kind of our entire offense is based through our quarterback play. I think for me, I have faith that I can do it with a lesser quarterback, maybe not to the same degree like McCallister was potentially breaking records, but I think I could be efficient still. But he has Ryan Colt, and like you say, all those high talented wide receivers, Travis Kelce. His offense is really good, so it's going to be tough with a McCallister, but we'll see. I mean, I have faith. I have a belief in Madden where. I have confidence going into the game at least, and we'll see how it goes. But I do think without McCallister, I'm definitely not the favorite for this one.
Yep, not having your quarterback makes it tough. What game are you looking forward to coming up?
Yeah, mine will be next week, week 11. We got the Falcons and the Titans playing head-to-head. There's almost really no explanation needed. These are probably the top 2 teams in the league at the moment. Breida will be out, so that's going to hurt the Titans a little bit over the high-power offense that they've been showing this year. They've really stepped up this season. They're 7-1, I think, on the Daddy League's power rankings, which doesn't really mean a whole lot, but they're the number 1 team. Then the Falcons on the other side. They got to shut down pass defense. We all know that. But it would have, and it sucks that Breida's out because it would have been nice to see what exactly Breida does against that defense. because Mo and Breida just run a different way than I think a lot of people do in the league. Like, they just attack you in a different form, and it would stress out the Falcons' defense, I think. But it still should be a good game. Mariota's playing well this year. He has lots of talent on defense as well with the Titans, and then the Falcons, well, they're just really good. So I think that's an exciting game to see exactly. Like, right now I put the Titans as the number one AFC team, but it'd be nice to see exactly how they stack up against a team like the Falcons.
Look, the Falcons are back. I think they were missing for the first couple of games or something, but look, that team is it's amazing how quiet they've been, because a lot of attention has been on these new teams, but they're again dominating like they always do, and until someone cuts the head off of that snake, it's going to continue to reign in this league. I like the Giants and the Cowboys game in Week 10. I think, look, Maniac lost a tough one against the Rams, clearly. I see Peppers in here. He is playing really good football. I think, to me, the most balanced team in the OMFL this year, that's just playing good, solid OMFL football on both sides of the ball. He's got a good running game, good passing game, really, really good defense. And so this will be like just an old-fashioned, kind of like that game was when you watched, I think it was Dwayne said that you watched the Rams and the Cowboys. It was just like a good old-fashioned OMFL game. I think this is going to be very similar. Of like two teams, the Cowboys have dealt away a lot of their, base talent that team was built around, but they've really rebuilt things in a solid way, and now they're going to be facing the Giants in a pivotal matchup between these two teams. And I think a matchup that'll go a long way to speaking of who makes the playoffs and who can actually make a run here and who might have to turn their attention to a wild card. Of course, we know the Redskins are right there. They're fighting at it, and this is going to be a race. But look, the Cowboys can insert name here if they can come away with a victory here at home against the Giants. It should be a really good one. A couple of the other games that people can't wait to see is the Giants can't wait to play the Patriots undefeated. Bill can't wait for the Seahawks and Cardinals game in Week 11, which is going to be another really good one. A lot like that Giants and Cowboys game. That Cardinals and Seahawks game will be very pivotal about who's going to win that division, who's going to continue just kind of run away with it, and who might have to turn their attention to a wild card spot. So definitely some good games coming up here in the next couple of weeks, and it'll be interesting to see exactly how this one plays out all the way. All right, time to turn our attention to some mailbag questions. Of course, we know the Safari is terribly slow on PlayStation, so I'm trying to get this to load up real quick. And then we'll get over to it. But this came out kind of late, so I'm not sure what mailbag questions we'll have. But it sounds like maybe our buddy Bloop, he put some in. Yeah, it does look like we've got.
I just read them.
Here we go. Come on, Safari, play along. It doesn't play nice. Come on, PlayStation, fix your Safari. Here we go. Yep, the Ross was last week. So here we go. Jake McCallister, this is coming from Cincyburg. Jake McCallister is out 8 weeks for the Patriots. Do they still win the division? Yes, they're going to win this division. The Patriots are a solid team. He will get things figured out and learn how to play. They'll be just fine. He may have to, sneak into the playoffs as a division winner with not an amazing record, but McCallister will be back, and he'll be one of those teams that will make some noise in the playoffs. Bloop, you get to go last on this one. So, Dwayne, do they make it even without Jake McCallister?
Yeah, I believe so. If you just look, I think the Dolphins are 4-4, they're 8-0, 4-0 in the division. Bloop, you can tell me right offhand, have you beat the Dolphins already this season?
Yeah.
Of course. I didn't know if y'all played or not, but
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you pretty much right there. I looked at his schedule. He's got the Titans left, the Broncos left, Cowboys left, Giants, Chiefs, Bills, and Dolphins. He's really only got I think he can win. What's that? I think at least I would say 11-5 right offhand, and I think that just wins in the division. Like I said, I think he gets this division clinched. I think he kind of sets a little bit of cruise control. Just depends where he's at. If he can get that number 1 seed, I don't see him going cruise control. Depends how long. You said McCallister's out to at least the playoffs.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can see him getting there and then trying to maybe go in cruise control, keep everybody healthy unless he's playing for that 1-2 seed. But I do think I would say 99% sure. He would have to fall apart. But as good as his defense is, I don't see him losing, more than a couple games to end this season. The defense should help him, kind of walk into the playoffs.
All right, Bloop, set the record straight. What's going to happen with your team?
I'm going to lose a bunch of games in the next couple weeks, but I think with my 8 remaining games, I think I can win 3 of them. Just, based off defense, and, I think, like I was saying a couple of minutes ago, like I have just enough belief that my receivers are good enough and I have decent enough quarterback play that, I'm still going to be able to put up some points. So I think I'll be able to win at least 3 of my remaining 8 games, get myself to 11-5 like D-Wayne said, and I think that should be enough. I have like pretty much all the tiebreakers at the moment, and I don't think it's obviously I'm not going to keep running like I'm 8-0 right now. I'm not going to keep that kind of record up, but I think I've improved my defense enough to help me win a couple of games here.
All right, let's move on to Denbrew. He always has really good questions for us. He says, good morning. What will happen first, Patriots loss or the Buccaneers win? I'm going to say the Buccaneers win because they play the Saints this week, and I am poo-poo.
I'm going to say I'm going to lose because I'm going to lose one of my next 2 games for sure. I'm probably going to lose this week, so.
I will go with, I hate I'm not trying to say hope Bloop loses, but I do think he has a better chance at losing against the Bengals this week than the Bucs do beating the Saints. Yeah. I think you see an angry Saints team this week. And I also see a Cincy team that's trying to make a statement, and Cincy knows he can make a statement if he knocks off the 8-0 Patriots. He's already thinking about it, as you see by his question in the thing this morning, so he's already prepping for the Patriots.
Question for Dwayne, and I'm interested in this one. You're the running back whisperer. Tremon Smith averages 4-ish yards a carry in his first 4 seasons. Season 5 arrives in Indy, and now he's 7.8 yards per carry. Can you give some common folks a little insight of why the sudden spike in production?
It's just a different scheme than the Chiefs run. The Chiefs didn't really feature him feature back. He was more of a third down back for them. He does have quite a few long runs. He is a 1 yard, 50-yard runner, and he's just got loose on some runs this year. He will probably take a back seat here pretty quick. Hines comes back this week. He'll slowly get brought in and get brought out as a backup plan for Hines. But it's really nothing. He just gets long runs. He broke around. I ran outside with him a little bit more since I got Fournette to run inside. Like that, he just like I said, it's more of a flash in the pan. He's just getting more touches, more consistency, and I think he gets more of a groove.
Yep, I wish you would share the real secrets because you are clearly the running back whisperer around here. Number 3, this is a good one. If you had to work in an exotic animal park for the summer, which one would you choose? Joe Exotic, Doc Antle, or Carolyn Effin Baskins? This is not even a real question for me. Doc Antle. I mean, like, how could you not want to go work there?
Go ahead, Blue.
I never watched it.
I was going to say, I've watched like 3 episodes just enough to know who they are.
Bloop. How have you not watched this?
I'm a Netflix hipster. If everyone watches something, I never watch it. So every time it happens, I just don't do it.
You have to. You have to go watch this show. It is. I don't know how Dwayne only watched 3. If you watch 1, you have to watch them all, and you have to watch them all back to back. Oh my gosh, you got to watch this one. All right, Dwayne, you've seen enough to know which one are you working at for the summer.
Well, like I said, I couldn't tell you enough. I watched it while I was sitting there with Jana. She watched the whole series. I know for sure not Carol. Let's just say that. I know not her. I don't want to be fed to a tiger, so I guess it had to be one of the other two.
Oh my gosh, that's a weak answer from you two. I expect better. All right, next week, that's what we're starting the show with. Gabe says there are quite a few trades at the deadline this year. Can you talk about how those trades may help or hurt the teams involved? I got to be honest, I don't keep up with trades. It's just there are too many for me to keep up with, and no one ever trades with me. I've learned in this league, you have to pick a person that you want, and then you just have to annoy the hell out of them until they just fold and give them to you, which sucks. I wish that it wasn't like that, but I don't have that kind of time. I'm too involved and I'm doing too many things, and so my trades never go further than, hey, I've got this guy, I'm interested in what you got, let me know what you think, and no one ever lets me know what they think, and so I never get to do any trades around here. But any trades that stick out to you two guys, of course the one that sticks out to me is Elliott, and I think it's a game changer. I'm trying to gather myself to not go on a Madden rant. This game's broke. I don't care what anybody says. Again, I've said it time and time again. This was the best game I'd ever touched in July, and it's Madden 18 and 19 for me again here in April. So I think the run is super overpowered for a lot of teams, unless you're mine and you're built to run the ball. Then for some reason you can't run the ball. But you get a game that's built for the run, you get an offense that's built for the run, and you give him one of the top running backs in the league. It's a tough mixture to defend. So I think that's the biggest one that really stuck out to me. The Vikings going out and getting Elliott, and that's really going to set up well for his team. Bloop, any stick out to you?
For me, one of the more interesting ones to me was the Clowny trade. I just got to pull it back up here. I was looking through the other ones. So the Texans sent Clowny, a second, and a fourth to the Rams for outside linebacker Bobby Oak. I don't know. Whatever. And a first-round pick. And I just think adding Clowny to defensive line that already had Aaron Donald, and I think a really good drafted defensive tackle, is just a really big move for one of the top defensive teams like the Rams are. I don't know if this season necessarily it's going to pay off, because I think they're in a very tough division, and they're going to need more than just Clowny. But I think going forward, having Clowny and Donald, Clowney's ability in the game is that perimeter where if he's in the area, the quarterback misthrows things, and then having Donald obviously destroying through the line, that's just going to be a deadly combination for the rest of the cycle. Like I said, I don't think it's going to quite pay off this season, because I think the Cardinals and the Seahawks are just too good this year. But I think when you give Bill a little bit more time to kind of add on to the rest of that team, I think that's going to be a trade that we look back on and it's going to be wow, that was huge.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised the Texans gave up Clowney, honestly. I played him just the week before, and Clowney was kind of the only defensive guy that just made a flash in the pan per se that I could notice on that defense. But I understand the Texans on that a little bit. Hey, man, he's had a really rough season. He had a really rough team to build when he went over there. They were kind of built to win now per se, and not last very long. So he's kind of having to restructure that, and that kind of happens when you switch teams mid-cycle. I had two trades I was going to talk about. One of them I won't talk much about because I don't want to just blow Nate over there. But I'll go to the Chiefs and Lions. The Chiefs send in Mike Hughes and a first-round pick for Darius Slay and a third-round pick. I do think. Can we just
pause? Can we just pause? Please don't blow me. I don't know. I didn't sign up for that this morning.
No, you don't blew my mind, Nate. I do think this is the Chiefs' move to try to win now. They're number one in that division right now. They get Darius Slay. They still get a pick for this loaded draft class we're probably fixing to see.
That's crazy, man.
And the Lions get. Trade. a first-round pick and Mike Hughes. I don't know much about Mike Hughes. I think he's kind of around the same age, Darius Slay, kind of that early 30-year-old player. That's a big
who's that
pickup.
with again?
Massimo and
yeah.
I believe.
Yep.
Yeah.
This was a good trade for Massimo to me. You got a game changer. You did lose your first-round pick. You pretty much just traded a lesser cornerback for a better one, and you got 2 rounds back. But if you're trying to win now, you're not looking. I can speak from experience. You're not looking at that first round. He wants to win now. He's had the Chiefs. He's had a team that, in my opinion, should have been winning this whole cycle, and he did some crazy stuff with that team to make it his own. And the other trade, I'm just going to throw DBL out there, trading Thielen to the Falcons for a first-round pick.
Yeah.
I know he likes that first-round pick. It's going to be 32nd or whatever. But you just gave Thielen, and he'll turn Thielen into an all-star. I don't know what Thielen's did with him. But you had a chance to be the bigger man there, DBL, and you didn't do it.
I don't understand this love affair for first-round picks, especially in this draft where they can't be imports. This draft will be a little bit more powerful than the normal Madden drafts that we do, but I just don't get the love affair for first-round draft picks. It's very confusing to me.
I'm with you.
All right, Bill gives me this one. Hi, Nate. First time, long time. Last week at the trade deadline, the Chiefs went... Oh, God. I knew this was going to come up. Went all in and traded... I don't think... Is all in one word? I don't think so, Bill. Maybe it is, and I'm terrible at grammar. And traded for a cornerback, Darius Slay from the Lions, to pair with cornerback Denzel Ward. The Chiefs' offense has always been explosive, but now they have a defense good enough to win the AFC West and compete for an OMFL championship. I'll hang up and listen. Thanks. Bill, I'm proud of you. You had an opportunity to take a shot, and you didn't take it, and that makes me very proud of you. That's growth. Good job. Oh, he was thinking it the whole time. So for you, those of you at home, boys and girls who don't know the story, Bill had worked out a trade with the Lions. They went to process the trade, and because Bill had played, the Lions had not played, it wouldn't process. The Lions then thought that they wouldn't be able to trade with the Rams and went shopping Darius Slay, who he was not shopping before, and ended up making a deal with the Chiefs. The Rams lost out. So that's growth, Bill. Good job. I do not think it's enough. I think, look, he's got a great offense. I don't love his quarterback. I know his quarterback's playing good football, but when you get into the playoffs, I don't think he can win. I think his style doesn't set up to win. And when you play teams like the Colts, like the Jets, like the Patriots, these really, really good defenses, I just don't think that the Chiefs are actually set up to win. I know that Massimo has won here before. I know he's been a really good player here before. But I don't think that trading for Slay is going to put him over the hump. But it sure in the hell doesn't hurt. What do you guys think about the Darius Slay situation?
Well, I'll touch on it real quick since I just talked about it. Like I said, I think it's an all-in move on Massimo's part. Massimo, I think the last time I won an OMFL Bowl was against Massimo when he was the Cowboys. He made a run with that Cowboys team. That was the infamous Falcons tank year. Somebody had taken advantage of the Falcons tanking that year. I think it's a good move. I'm kind of with you. I don't think it's enough. Especially in the AFC, a lot of these AFC teams want to run the ball and attempt. I say attempt to play defense because my team attempts. I do try. We just don't have it. Want to play defense and run the ball, and that cornerback's just not much. But now, in Massimo's point of view, he's a pass guru. He wants to pass the ball, and I can see him bringing that cornerback in because he wants to shut down the opposing team's passing. And it will work against certain teams. You look at like the Cincinnati even the Broncos. They both want to pass the ball, and picking up Slay does help him get better. But I don't know if it's enough.
Yeah, I'm on the same side as you guys both. I watched the first game with Slay on the lineup, and I just think that there's just a lot of other holes in that defense, and Slay makes up for a little bit of it, but like Dwayne said, like there's lots of rushing teams, there's lots of good tight ends or slot receivers that can still take advantage of that defense. And I think the biggest thing is for the run is I just don't know if their offense is going to be able to dominate the way that they are against the other contenders in the league.
Yep.
It's a good move, but I just don't think it's going to quite work out.
I think we're all on the same page on that one. Let's go to D. Wayne's questions. He says, "Is this the best group of quarterbacks that we've seen in the OMFL? We currently have 4 quarterbacks that have a quarterback rating of 130 or above." I think the quick answer is it's up there. I don't know that it's the best. Way back in like Madden 10, those were those predetermined draft classes. They had some really good quarterbacks coming out of that one, and I had one. His name was Jack English. That was back when Madden did the draft classes that were like types and shadows of Hall of Fame players, and Jack English was the type and shadow of Elway. And so those draft classes, that Madden, I think it was like Madden 10, somewhere in there. Maybe not. I forget exactly. Maybe somewhere between Madden 7 and 10. Those were some really, really good quarterbacks that were putting up tons of yards. And for me, I don't even know if it is, are these the quarterbacks or just the game has changed? And that's the big question. Look, we all have bad seasons, and maybe I'm just having a bad season, but it just feels like I'm playing a completely different game that I've never played before, and I can't figure it out. And people are putting up offensive numbers like crazy and running and just doing some crazy numbers that clearly I can't figure out. I'm averaging like 18 points a game or something stupid like that. So I think they're up there. I think there's some really good ones, but I think it also speaks to just a flawed game right now. Bloop, what do you think?
I don't know. I don't know a whole lot about the history of the OMFL, so I've read the Hall of Fame and stuff. I haven't been around very long, obviously, but I think the quarterback group is good, like really good. But I also see like a lot of these quarterbacks are they're not the guys that are dominating the league. Like the top quarterbacks aren't dominating the league. Like I think the best quarterbacks are Colt, who is doing good, Worthington on the Packers, and then obviously there's like Patrick Mahomes who's struggling. I don't know if we're meaning that in the question, but I think it's a really good group, and I do think like I don't know. I think one of the big things, like in my opinion, is like receiver play is kind of the driving force behind it all. So you see the teams with the top receivers are the teams that have the top quarterbacks. I think, in my opinion, like Tyreek Hill, or like the Cardinals have 2 top receivers, Isabella and Kirk, or DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. The best quarterbacks right now are the guys that have the best receivers. So the quarterbacks are really good, but I think the receiving core is the key, in my opinion, anyways.
Yeah, I think that there's some good ones, but Dwayne, you posted this question. Do you think this is some of the best quarterback play that we've seen in your time here? You've been here for a while now.
I was going more toward, I guess, efficiency. I do think this is an elite group of users behind the quarterback. You look at McCallister is before his injury, 75% completion percentage, 21 touchdowns, 6 picks. He has a 140 QB rating. I can't remember last time I seen someone this deep that had a 140 QB rating. You go to Council, he's throwing 67% completion percentage, which is Hill aided. Because I don't think McCallister has a Tyreek Hill. I could be wrong. He don't have nobody like that. That guy that is just unstoppable.
Not quite.
He 31 touchdowns, 8 picks, and you go to this one is really crazy. And I noticed it a couple weeks ago. It's Kyler Murray's. It's almost 81% completion percentage, and he does have 2 of the best receivers in the league. But he is averaging 12 yards a catch. It's not check downs. At least them guys are taking off after check downs. If it is 18. Just guys like that, just crazy efficient passing. You're talking about 75, 80% passing. That's just crazy efficiency.
Nope, I agree with you. Your next question, Titans running back Matt Breida is the most underrated running back in the OMFL. In this current cycle, he has 796 carries, 5,971 yards, 63 touchdowns, 7.5 yards a touch through 4.5 seasons so far. No, sir. I know what you're trying to do there, trying to get the attention off of your guy, but absolutely not underrated. It's just he plays in the same division, in the same league as your guy, whose name is slipping my brain all of a sudden. Who's your guy? Hines, yeah, that's it. Breida's very good, and I think everyone knows how good he is, but, if you put up 2,000 yards, but the next guy puts up 2,500 yards, it's kind of hard for you to brag about how good of a season that you've had because technically you didn't have as good a season as the other guy. So I think it just makes it really, really, really tough overall. But I don't think that he's underrated by any stretch of the means. What do you think, Bloop? Do you think Hines is underrated in this league?
I don't know. Maybe some guys underrate him, but I'm definitely the wrong guy to ask because I'm pretty sure I talk about him almost every time I'm on the show. So I definitely don't underrate Breida. I think he's probably been the second best running back overall when healthy in the league since Madden 20 started, probably right behind Hines. But the only thing for him is he misses time, or else his numbers would be very close to Hines. So I don't think he's
Didn't he come from
underrated.
somebody else?
Yeah, he started on the 49ers.
That's what
Yes.
I thought. I thought he was on the 49ers.
Yeah, and I think maybe some guys probably don't pay attention because he does get hurt, so his name's never seems to be at the top in the top like 3 running backs at the end of the year because he misses like 4 games a season. But I think for the guys that do pay attention, I pay a lot of attention to guys like Breida who are blowing up the league and who I definitely got to pay attention to if I ever play against. But I don't think he goes underrated in those circles.
I'd love to see that trade. I don't even remember that. I think that happened in season 1.
It was a running back for running back. It was Dawson. Dawson did the trade. It was like first season,
Yep,
I think, second season.
I remember it was Dawson.
Was it for Henry?
No.
I can pull it up. I can find it.
Well, what made you ask this question? Do you feel like he's just not talked enough about?
Yeah, I don't see his name. Hines gets the blown up, and I sure like to sweep that under the rug. But there's other running backs. Even Henry gets brought up, in my opinion, a lot compared to Breida, and that just could be just because the whole Henry playoff run. Henry gets brought up. Zeke gets talked about, especially when he's with the Cowboys. He got talked about a lot. But Breida's somebody to me who is. People say Hines changes the game. Breida just changes the game when he touches the ball. He can score every time he touches it. And I think he uses him in the passing game. I know I didn't put passing stats on there with him, or receiving stats. But to me, he's the most well-rounded running back in the game. Way more well-rounded than Hines is, because I don't get Hines in the receiving game very often.
Yeah, he's awesome.
All right, last question. It's funny, the mailbag always slows us down. I was like, oh man, we're doing pretty good. We've only 40 minutes deep. This is going to be a nice, tight, clean, fast show. And then we get to mailbag and we get derailed. The Vikings quarterback Tim Madden, arguably one of the most hyped Madden-generated prospects in recent history, lived up to expectations. 1,903 yards, 68%, 12 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 105.7 quarterback rating. I would say he's not having a bad season for a rookie. I guess it wasn't talked about a ton because he went to Priest, but that quarterback that Priest has is stupid. I love Priest, and I know this is going to sound like a shot, but Priest throws 50 interceptions a game to people and then comes out and just completely, his quarterback tosses 400 yards, 3 touchdowns, misses 2 passes the whole game, just plays like a Hall of Famer. That kid is stupid good, and to me was the most promising quarterback prospect I've almost ever seen come out of the OMFL. Definitely come out of the OMFL in the last 2-3 Maddens. So I never really bought into the Tim Madden hype, and I think he also doesn't go to a system that sets up well for him, right? This is going to be a running first team, and passing is going to be secondary for him. He's going to pass, enough to keep himself FPR and keep himself balanced, but like he's going to be a guy that just runs the ball, and that is what establishes his game. But even with that said, that he's still passing for 68%. He still has more touchdowns than interceptions. He's going to break 3,000 yards pretty easily, if not 4,000 yards. So that's not a bad season for a rookie quarterback. I think he's really good. I just don't think he's like the best young quarterback out there.
Yeah, I think for his draft class, I think he's definitely like lived up to the hype. Sorry, I just clicked the wrong button on my computer. He's definitely lived up to the hype for his draft class, but I think he's gonna get a lot better as things go along, because I think Ross is probably gonna try to build something around him. Right now, I don't think he has a great receiving core. If I am thinking correctly. But yeah, he doesn't play in a system that's going to actually afford him a ton of extra stats, but he's also going to still throw for probably 3,800 yards this season, and a pretty good touchdown to interception ratio. So I think he's a really good quarterback. He might not quite be Worthington, but I think he's like on the same level as like Ryan Colt or Hunter Woodyard or something like that. So I think definitely the Vikings made the right pick at that spot when he fell to them, and I think a couple other teams are probably kicking themselves that they never went and got him. But I'd love to have him like 90. I think he has 96 throw power or 95 throw power.
Yeah, 96.
Yeah, that's just, you don't get that very often right out of the draft. Usually you got to build that up. So that's I think it's a guy we're going to see probably next season because I think we're going to have a pretty deep wide receiver draft, just like with what's coming up. But I think we're going to see him kind of come onto the scene even more next year. And I would say that regardless of what team Ross winds up being, like, he should consider bringing this guy in as an import, because that's going to be an arm that you're not going to be able to easily replicate ever again.
Yeah, I was just curious. The whole tank for Tua thing was tank for Madden last cycle. Everybody talked about Tim Madden going first overall. He's named after Madden. He's going to be great. He dropped to the 6th pick overall. Went to the Vikings, like you said. Went to a team that would prefer to run the ball majority of the time. And I'm with Bloop. He'll be going into possibly 3rd season if he's an import into that next cycle, if you get a cheap quarterback for 2. And I also did look up that 49ers trade. Matt Breida and a 2nd-round pick for Rashad Evans and Dion Lewis. Now that you look back on it, it was a pretty lopsided trade.
Yeah.
Yep, I'll take that every day and twice on Sundays. That's going to bring us to the end of our show here. So I'm going to let you guys put a bow on it, and I'm going to talk about some partners and then get us off to our Saturday. So, Dwayne, go ahead and put a bow on the show for me.
I think it's rounding out to be a really good season. I think we're going to see some surprises this year, but I think a lot of people were really hoping for some parity, and I think you're going to see a little more of it this season. I know that Nate would love to see a lot more defense in this league. But I don't think it's not from effort's not there. I just, like you said, maybe it's just the Madden. I think Madden means well with their updates, but I think they just get everything so crazy. I wish maybe if Bloop teaches me how to play defense, I'll teach him to run the ball. I don't know, but because I sure need help on it. Yeah, I think so. I sure need help. I've gave up. I think next play pull up here. I'm getting them 30 points a game. It's ridiculous.
Can y'all help the commish out here? I mean, like, I could use some help in both of those areas. So.
Alright. I don't know. I think we gotta do what I did and replace your entire team in one off season and hope for the best. No, I don't know.
I'll let Bloop take over now.
Alright. I just want to say, I was undefeated when McCallister went down, so anything that happens after this point doesn't count. But, no, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I've said for quite a while that I don't think quarterback play is the most important. Like, like your actual quarterback is the most important part of an offense. I think receivers are really important. I think the scheme's really important, and unpredictable play calling is important. So I guess now I got a chance to prove that against the toughest stretch of games I've probably played the entire cycle. So I'm excited for the opportunity to do some crazy stuff, but probably just get killed for 5 straight weeks.
I'm done. I've been done. Matter of fact, I just realized, Bill, if you're still on here, you're posting these stupid blogs wrong, man. It's not complicated, friends. ! How blog. It will walk you step by step on how to do these. It's such a pain to go and have to fix all of these, which I now have to do, Bill. Just kidding. Please don't come kill me, Bill. Bill scares me. I am... So much of me wants to just turn on tank mode, but I can't. This tanking speaks. I could never do it. But I'm done. I am so done with this Madden. I'm just done. I can't figure it out. If you look at my team and look how I built it, like there's no reason that I shouldn't be a team that can run the ball really well and be effective on offense and have a pretty good defense. And it has went all off rails, and I have been greatly disappointed in FPR in this league. It has hurt my soul how bad it's been. Guys are at that time of the Madden where they've figured out what works, what doesn't work, and they're doing all the stuff that does work and none of the stuff that doesn't, which means you're playing the same game every week. It's cover 1, it's cover 3, it's blitz, it's stretch plays, it's crossing routes. It's the same old, and it's a little bit disappointing. That's the same old, and hopefully we can continue to clean it up, right, and be better and play better, because we're a better league than some of the gameplay that we've seen here. All right, now that I've got off my FPR rant and my Bill posting blogs wrong rant, let me cover a couple of our partners here. I'm going to make this quick because the wife is hovering around me somewhere, so that's my key. Get off. DaddyLeagues.com, LeagueCrawler.com. Both Poppy and Matt are two of my favorite humans in the Madden community. I love those guys. They're just good dudes. I haven't actually talked to either one of them in a couple of months, and so I hope all is well with this coronavirus for them and their families. But these are two of the great pieces in the Madden community that need to be cornerstones in every Madden player's eyes. I know that there are some new things coming out for like a Daddy Leagues type page, but I'm going to be a big supporter of Poppy. He's been a big supporter of ours. And same thing for Matt. I think it's the most underrated Madden site that you could possibly go be a part of. And then our buddies over at Soden and Soden Bowl and Shop with Shopmaster, two of the just top people in the community creating content around Madden. If you're in the Xbox One community and you're looking for a Madden league that's going to create a lot of opportunities for engagement, a lot of really great content, beautiful content to look at, Soden and Soden Bowl is one of those leagues that you need to go to. I don't know if anybody's watching from there this morning, but Soden, I seen your message. It just was super late and I didn't have the mental capacity to read. And then my buddy over at Shopmaster, he's just follow him on Twitter and YouTube and Twitch and all his other channels. He just has some really amazing content. Shop, I hope that you're well through coronavirus. I hope all of our people are well here in the OMFL and the Grown Folks online community. I love you guys, and look, this is a tough time for our entire world right now, and I hope that we continue to show patience to each other, unless you're Nate and Bill, who post blogs wrong, and then no patience or grace given. But outside of Nate and Bill and the blog postings, let's understand that like we all are like living in a new world right now, and tensions can be high. We're not able to get out and about and do our normal stuff, and some of us are working crazy hours, and just there's a lot of craziness on right now. And I know in my own home I have a senior who's now missed out on his prom. He won't get to walk for graduation. He won't get to finish projects at school. He won't get to see his friends. So there's just a lot of stuff, right? A lot of heavy stuff going on for a lot of people. This place is supposed to be a place to unplug. That's why I dropped some of my little comments. I hate the coronavirus chat in our chat. PM, if you want to talk about that stuff, turn on the news. Like, I know where to go find my negative talk if I want it. I don't want that stuff in our chat because I do want it to be a place to unplug. I know we got cops that play here. We got first responders. We got men and women who are doing all kinds of like heavy stuff. I don't want them to have to like come here to talk more about it. And I get some of you are worried and fearful. I would point you into like my other line of my life that I do. Come follow my own personal website and Twitter. I'll encourage you and speak hope into your life. But let's just keep our chat safe, guys. And I understand we'll talk about it. I'm not saying you can't talk about it, but like at some point, like the negativity's got to stop. And like just that fear, I feel it creep into our chat sometimes, and I hate it because I don't turn the news on. I don't watch the stuff. It's just like, I get it. Let's let this be a place where we can unplug. And if we're going to be fearful, let's be fearful that our quarterback's out for 8 weeks, or that you suck because your name's Nate and you suck at Madden. Not because of this coronavirus, because we will come through this. And I understand the summer is probably going to be dead for us here, which means we're probably going to get one more season in and then call it quits, just because we've all been cooped up for 3 months, and when the summer gets here, it's already dead. It's going to be double dead because we want to get out and get in, do things with our families and stuff. So we'll figure that out together, and then hopefully they make a much better Madden 21 whenever it drops in July and August. So guys, thank you so much for spending your Saturdays with me, rambling and running around. I'm going to get out of here before the wife hits me with a frying pan. I love you guys. Have a great rest of your week. God bless you. Happy Easter, too, which I didn't even realize was until this week. So if you're looking for an Easter message, go follow me on Facebook. I'll be doing kind of my church stuff on Easter Sunday morning at 9:30 a.m. Central. Just a little shameless plug for my website and my stuff. But I love you guys. Have a blessed week. We'll see you. Peace.
Later, guys.